Hello again. I'm going to make a point now and read a few passages from a couple of books about something which may be misconstrued, something which may look the same, but it's probably misconstrued. If you go on Wikipedia or read around the subjects, you'll find that Asperger Syndrome and complex post-traumatic stress disorder seem to tick a number of the same boxes. I'm going to make a point here about people who don't fit in, people who don't have relationships, and people who eventually do have relationships who have those problems. I haven't actually had a romantic relationship in all of my 36 years. Although I know a lot of people make the mistake of having bad ones earlier in life, so at least there is that. But if the ball was on the other foot with certain people, I don't think they would like to downplay the fact, as I have done, that they have not had this hole in their life filled, if I could put it that way. I'm going to read from two authors. One is more an expert on Asperger Syndrome, Tony Atwood, and one is an expert on narcissistic relationships and the victims of narcissistic manipulators, Ross Rosenberg. First begin reading a small passage on adolescence for somebody with Asperger Syndrome from the book The Complete Guide to Asperger Syndrome. Seems a bit of a misnomer. Searching for a partner. In late adolescence, teenagers with Asperger Syndrome may seek more than the platonic relationship with like-minded individuals and express a longing for a boyfriend or girlfriend and eventually a partner. The partner they seek is someone who understands them and provides emotional support and guidance in the social world. Or not, if you remember being an adolescent. Someone to be a mother figure and mentor. Adolescent peers are usually much more mature and knowledgeable in identifying a potential partner and developing and practicing relationship skills. A bit like, so they got an IQ above 50, or somewhat higher than that, so they don't fit in and they look for things that are more important. Then again, I don't think they do as well. Maybe. The adolescent boy with Asperger Syndrome may ask forlornly, "How do I get a girlfriend?" Attempts to develop a relationship beyond platonic friendship can lead to rejection, ridicule, and a misinterpretation of intentions. Nobody said it was a given, did they? What would happen? I mean, various other people have those problems. The adolescent with Asperger Syndrome can feel even more socially confused, immature and isolated. Yeah, probably isolated people who don't fit in usually do have those sort of issues. Just on that point about not fitting in, the book actually goes on to talk about friendships. It says in my report, I never had friends, which isn't actually true. I did have friends. I said in other videos, not always friends I had a lot in common with, but who I did have friends. And it's, yes, not fitting in. I wouldn't really have said that I didn't fit in. And perhaps a lot of people are even more proud and blinkered in that way. I've been a bit of a winner, you know. I mean, but people don't always like winners. They like to sabotage them. Maybe I lack the charm, maybe I lack the tricks, maybe I lack the self-confidence. Tricks, yeah. If you want charm, you get charm. Looks, I wasn't such a bad looking guy. I actually had to have maxillofacial surgery or orthodontics before then. So it's not the only source of self-esteem, but it plays a part. But I'll go back to that subject some other time. I have this memory of my dad saying not that long ago, "I don't give a fuck about self-esteem." And this is a retired community psychiatric nurse. Good that, isn't it? Ross Rosenberg, the Human Magnet Syndrome. Actually got a little bit wet when I was on a trip to London, the south of England, in October 2015, when I attended Richard Grannon's seminar on dealing with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's a bit crinkly now, but anyway, Ross Rosenberg likens this to finding a romantic partner to a dance. I think I understand what that means. It's not too figurative for me. Codependents are essentially stuck in a pattern of giving and sacrificing without the possibility of ever receiving the same from their partner. So there are two partners. There's a codependent and there's the narcissist, the narcissistic manipulator. They pretend to enjoy the dance, but really harbour feelings of anger, bitterness and sadness for not taking an active role in their dance experience. They are convinced that they will never find a dance partner who will love them for who they are, as opposed to what they can do for them. Their low self-esteem and pessimism manifests itself into a form of learned helplessness that ultimately keeps them on the dance floor with their narcissistic partner. Again, this does sound a bit like my mother, and a bit like me, although I actually realise it and challenge it. When a codependent and narcissist come together in their relationship, their dance unfolds flawlessly. The narcissistic partner maintains the lead and the codependent follows. Their roles seem natural to them because they have actually been practicing them their whole lives. The codependent reflexively gives up their power, and since the narcissist thrives on control and power, the dance is perfectly coordinated. No one gets their toes stepped on. Typically, codependents give of themselves much more than their partners give back to them. As generous but bitter dance partners, they seem to be stuck on the dance floor, always waiting for the next song, at which time they naively hope that their narcissistic partner will finally understand their needs. Codependents confuse caretaking and sacrifice with loyalty and love. Although they are proud of their unwavering dedication to the person they love, they end up feeling unappreciated and used. Codependents yearn to be loved, but because of their choice of dance partner, find their dreams unrealized. With the heartbreak of unfulfilled dreams, codependents silently and bitterly swallow their unhappiness. But they carry on in the relationship is often the point, isn't it? They, in spite of all that, it's like there's a part of them that will never exist. I often wonder if this is too, how can one be the narcissist and the other not a narcissist? As if they're too much like poles in a magnet, human magnet syndrome, that would repel, but they also have things in common. And effectively, the codependent parent is narcissistic to their children, or psychopathic, or they're not, because they do things in support of their partner's manipulations. The narcissist dancer, like the codependent, is attracted to a partner who feels perfect to them, someone who lets them lead the dance while making them feel powerful, competent, and appreciated. In other words, the narcissist feels most comfortable with a dancing companion who matches up with their self-absorbed and boldly selfish dance style. Narcissist dancers are able to maintain the direction of the dance because they always find partners who lack self-worth, confidence, and who have low self-esteem, codependents. With such a well-matched companion, they are able to control both the dancer and the dance. So it's Sam Vaknin who says the narcissistic manipulator is themselves a type of codependent because they are dependent on somebody who allows themselves to be junior to them, who allows them to maintain this artificial position above somebody. And thus, people with NPD or NPD traits always have to be above somebody on the totem pole of social status, well, that's not a tautology, they have to be above, some position above, even when there's no need not to be equal. We need bosses, there is inequality, but you don't always have, sometimes you can be relatively equal, leave it the way it is. They don't want to do that. although probably a bit of politics there, but that's what I think. Although all codependent dancers desire harmony and balance, they consistently sabotage themselves by choosing a partner who they are initially attracted to but will ultimately resent. When given a chance to stop dancing with their narcissistic partner and comfortably sit the dance out until someone healthy comes along, they typically choose to continue their dysfunctional dance. How many people do you know who chose selfish people as partners and have selfish kids? Well, one of them in my extended family comes to mind. Or how many people do you know who could have chosen a nicer guy and could have chosen a saner person to converse with on a daily basis, but didn't? Like they were addicted to argument, addicted to drama, addicted to arseholes. And they're an arsehole. They don't understand fairness themselves. They probably have histrionic or borderline traits, personality traits themselves, and that's another story. Something about histrionic and Asperger's. I see parallels between those conditions. Being alone for the codependent is the equivalent of feeling lonely, and loneliness is too painful to bear. Without self-esteem or feelings of personal power, the codependent is incapable of choosing mutually giving and unconditionally loving partners. Their choice of a narcissistic dance partner is connected to their unconscious motivation to find a person who is familiar, someone who is reminiscent of their powerless and perhaps traumatic childhood. Interesting, my sister's also split up from a long-term boyfriend. In her early 30s is not the best time to do it, really, is it? In a way, when you have a biological clock. And now she's gone back to live with mum and dad, so that's a good idea. When she was bullied, my mum used to say, "She's so passive." That's it. It's there was concern, but no understanding of the root of the problem. And I was bullied too, and she remembers that, being bullied herself. She made the remark herself, we were both bullied, weren't we? Doesn't get it though. So I guess what I'm saying is the Asperger's book looks very naive, and it's another way. There must be a lot of overdiagnosis of Asperger syndrome. It's even used as a narcissistic tool. Diagnosis of a son or daughter with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Sometimes it's mistaken with other conditions, which in some ways is worse, like schizophrenia, or more recently borderline personality disorder is sometimes confused with Asperger's, perhaps more in girls, but not necessarily. Take care, everyone.